Let's talk about the near term. Let's say this shutdown is just a few days, like most of them generally are.
Yeah.
Does it have a meaningful impact on the defense sector?
I think in the near term, you'll probably see some movements in the defense stocks. They think of government spending, they think of defense, but the reality is that long-term legacy programs are going to maintain funding. Anything critical to operations will get funded. Maybe new programs, procurement for our research and development, that's going to get cut off until they have either a CR or a new bill.
All right. You say that changes a bit if we see a prolonged shutdown, like the one we saw 2018 going into 2019. It was about 5 weeks. Also important to note that was also during the first Trump administration.
Right. I think that could easily happen again. But if you actually look back, the aerospace and defense index actually outperformed the S&P in that time. And if you actually look back throughout all of the shutdowns, there have been about 10 of them. The aerospace and defense industry has actually outperformed the S&P. So in the long term, I think people realize that it's a critical component of our national defense is spending on these weapon systems.
All right, where are you seeing opportunities in this space? You and I, we were talking off camera. There's a lot of political volatility, but there's also a lot of geopolitical volatility that's generally a tailwind for this sector. What parts of the defense and aerospace industry do you see benefiting going forward into Q4 as we just start the first day of Q4 trading today?
Sure. Our Gabelli Commercial Aerospace and Defense ETF, ticker GCAD, large holders of a company called Hexcel. They make actually composite material for defense weapon systems, missiles, fighter aircraft, and commercial aircraft as well. So they're pretty inoculated when it comes to critical components that they're going to need to be money's going to need to be spent on. And we also like Boeing for that matter. Boeing makes a lot of weapon systems, missiles. They just got the contract for the F-47 that will eventually get funded. As long-term investors, we like it. And then they have the commercial aerospace piece with a huge backlog of aircraft.
We continue to see tensions. We've seen tensions in recent weeks in the Middle East. Also, the U.S. and China, while not a military situation, there is a lot of tension there. And it seems like both sides are kind of seeing each other in an adversarial way. Are there certain companies that benefit from that? Right now, we're focused on the shutdown, but of course, there's longer-term issues at play.
Yeah, I think with China, they had their military parade about a month ago and showing off the nuclear triad. I think they're not going anywhere, and the U.S. is going to have to continue its power projection and essentially, continue building the arsenal of our defense industry. Companies like Graham Corporation, they make parts for the nuclear reactors on submarines, and there's going to be a lot of development in undersea and shipbuilding, for that matter, going forward to defend against and project power in the Asia-Pacific region.
I know you're saying the defense sector and the aerospace sector is generally not immune, but not materially impacted by shutdown. But is there any part of this sector that you see being impacted again if this goes longer than expected?
I think this has been happening for quite a while. The IT space, government services, those companies are probably going to be more impacted. And I think with the oncoming AI, I think that's probably a long-term structural change for that industry. But as far as making kinetic weapon systems, anything ISR-related, intelligence, space defense, those industries, those companies are going to do very well in the long term.